He went to the international for Dota 2 once. The smell. I used to love stuff like LCS. And if I was on a business trip, I was out west and LCS was also happening, I'd make sure that I could go see it. At least one of the days, I would make sure I could make it. So I actually watched a lot of LCS like back in the day, live. That was fun. Because I had enough trips where I had to be out there for work. So I was able to kind of do that. But sometimes the smell, man. Sometimes the smell was just not it. LCS was fun to watch, but it lost its magic. The gap between regions just kept widening over time. I know. Esports just doesn't have a lot of money in it, and it never did. And like a lot of other sports, when you can get spectators to really care and be fans of your teams, whatever, you can make a good amount of money, but esports has never gotten to that point. And it might look huge. You look and you see all the people sitting in the crowd, and you hear the hype, you see all the posts, and you're like, wow, people really love this. But there isn't really a lot of cash flow going in because there's all these people sitting there and watching it live on Twitch for free. At most, they get served an ad which pays a little bit of money to whoever's broadcasting, right? They're not even like, they're not monetizing it, and it's hard to monetize it. It's almost impossible when this has always been honestly, gaming in general has always been a hobby that is really low cost for the amount of time you spend on it compared to other things. Why do you think it's so unprofitable? Is it simply that you can't really sell sports goods? No, it's a lot of things. Number one, it's too accessible for free. Okay, esports started up in like the FGC and everything like that. And I'm gonna say this right now, there's always been this attitude that people have had, and I don't mean a bad attitude, I'm just saying a general attitude toward content where they feel like if you're sharing content, making content about something you like, then it shouldn't be a job. It has to be a passion. And if you want to monetize it, you want it to like make you money, you want to lock something behind a paywall, you're an asshole for that. People have always like been like that. I think only very recently have they been like, it's okay to put work into stuff and want to get paid. You know, that's a very recent thing. But content creators have always had that issue, especially people who are doing things within a niche community. So when you're like in the FGC, if you wanted to have a tourney happen and then you wanted to stream it and you're like, I want to make it pay-per-view, people would be like, what the f? This is everyone's hobby. You should, you know, like they would freak out and they'd call you like a dirty bastard for like trying to make any money from it, you know? And if you're like, oh, it's for the prize pool for the people, they'd be like, we should all be able to watch. We're all fans. They would lambaste you for it, right? So yeah, they want you to suffer for money. You shouldn't like what you do. Exactly. It's tough. That's just the attitude. So then whenever we get to the point where esports are getting bigger, it's not just the FGC now. We have Twitch and YouTube as a vehicle to live stream things, etc. Now we've got this whole thing going on where that attitude is sort of carried over. So if you run an esports team and you want to monetize it, you try hard to monetize it, people start calling you greedy and they start like looking at you negatively instead of seeing it as they're just trying to keep this going because they need to make enough money to pay their staff and their players, right? Like I see it as that, but a lot of people are like, I'm just watching the thing I like. It shouldn't cost me much. It's just, that's how it is. And then, you know, how do you get people to come and watch an esports event? It's not really that much more appealing to sit there and watch it in person compared to sitting at home and watching it, other than that you're sitting in a crowd, but you're still looking at a screen, right? There's no difference sitting there looking at it live. There's no three-dimensional ARG happening in front of you. You're just looking up at a giant screen above the players. So a lot of people feel that the difference between just watching it at home and watching it there is not big enough. And then you have, it's gaming, so a lot of the people that are into it are a bit antisocial, so they actually don't see the appeal of the crowd. Some do, but not as many as like sports fans, right? The percentage of gamers that want to watch shit live because they love the crowd vibe is a lot lower than like sports fans, you know? So I think it's fun. I like it. But that you know, makes it a tougher sell to the existing audience that wants to watch that in general. And yeah, so there are a lot of factors that just make it hard to set up events that people will come to that you won't lose money on because, you know, you need people to buy tickets. When you have an esports team, the only way to get people to pay them really is to get them sponsored, which is usually how they do it. That's how they make most of their money. Or to sell merch, which people do. Oh, my CLG jersey because I love CLG, you know, stuff like that. Like that's a thing. But that doesn't make that much money. The margins are not high enough. You don't sell enough merch that's paying all of your staff, right? That just doesn't happen. Typically, esports teams show up, someone with some big name in esports or gaming or streaming or whatever content is like, I want to make a team, I want to do this. They pitch their idea of their pool of people that are going to make this team and what they're going to play, etc. Maybe some players that they're trying to pick up early to investors, and then someone will invest, or they get early sponsors, which is a little different from investors, but it's one of the two to start up typically. And there you go. And then they just go until their money runs out. And they hope they can keep getting people investing who are not going to get any return, or they hope sponsors will keep sponsoring. And there are only just so many sponsors that are in the gaming space. It's really actually crazy how much gaming like doesn't make money. When you get a gaming sponsor on a YouTube video, you do a 1-minute ad, depending on how many views your videos tend to get. Yeah, I'd say, you know, 100,000 view video, if that's what they're expecting, they might pay you at most $1,000 to put an ad on that video. Probably not, probably a couple hundred for a lot of people. There's, oh, here's a couple hundred, we're releasing this game, put this 1-minute ad in your video. Not pretty good money for low effort. Yeah, but if you make, you know, one video a week and you only manage to get a sponsor for like one of those a month, that's not buying you a house, you know? And like, you know, it's not bad at all, but it's not enough to support like an esports team, right? But that's how much gaming, you know, videos you might make. It's a big range though, I will say, but it depends on the industry you're in. So gaming is like that. I knew someone who was making videos on finance, financial advice, credit cards, investing, stuff like that. Dude made like a video a week, and the videos were getting 30 to 40,000 views each. Had like a couple 100,000 subscribers. Okay, so pretty good, but nothing insane. However, the financial sponsors, like a credit card company or something like that, they would pay this guy like $1 per expected view. Okay, so this guy would be like, oh yeah, you know, my average views on a video after a month of them being live is usually like 30K views, and they'd be like, okay, here's 30K to put this 1-minute ad in a video. The financial sponsors, if you make financial content, if that's the caveat, right? Like if you're making financial content, then they'll want to put their ad on your video. Those people would pay so much. So different industries and different advertisers and different demographics affect how much like you're gonna get, right, from these people on average. It's crazy. So the thing is, when you have like an esports team, who's sponsoring you? It's gonna be like gaming peripherals, Corsair, right? You're not getting like Amex coming in, you know what I mean? You're getting like very different industries that are coming in and wanting to sponsor. So that's why esports has the same formula as like regular sports, but they're not getting that kind of money because they don't have those kinds of sponsors coming in that are like, yeah, here's me sneezing out $1 billion on you, you know? But also, it's hard to get gamers to spend money on. Gamers on average are a bit smarter with their money. They really care. They like to be a bit more meticulous on average, not all of them, with their money, where they sit there and they like to look through reviews first. Do I really need this? You know, and a lot of them also, yeah, don't have a ton of money. So, you know, it's just a lot of people don't have a lot of money, and the ones that do are on average more careful with it. So it's hard to sell them stuff, you know what I mean? But there are other demographics that are really easy to sell stuff to sometimes. So the sponsors in those areas know that they get more bang for their buck, so they are willing to pay more to sponsor someone for the same amount of time, same amount of views. You know what I mean? So it's tough, but that's kind of generally like how it works, man.